welcome to a deep dive into something that might just reshape how we think about the companies we support.
Ooh, interesting.
The ethical employer certification.
Okay.
It's not, some government program.
Right.
It's a voluntary pledge businesses can take. And get this.
Okay.
It hinges on us.
Us.
The consumers.
Ah, I see.
It's all about empowering you.
Me.
Oh, yeah. You as the consumer.
Yeah, gotcha.
To choose the businesses that align with your values.
I like it.
We're going straight to the source for this one, using their website to kind of break it all down.
Excellent. Love going straight to the source.
Yeah, so let's just jump right in.
Let's jump in.
What are we even talking about?
Yeah.
When we say ethical employer,
Right.
they're website lists, like a bunch of principles, but the ones that really jumped out at me were living wages, work-life balance, and something they call equitable profit distribution.
Those are definitely the cornerstones. And it's not just like vague promises.
Right.
They get specific.
Okay.
Like, for instance, they tie this concept of a living wage to the local cost of living.
Okay.
They use a 25% housing rule, and they actually suggest a minimum hourly wage of $26 in some cities.
Whoa, $26 an hour?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty significant number.
It is.
Especially in places where the minimum wage is, way lower.
Right, exactly.
But, wouldn't that be a tough pill to swallow for some businesses?
It definitely challenges the traditional, cost-benefit analysis.
Yeah.
But, there's growing evidence that investing in employees, it pays off in the long run.
Okay.
Happier, healthier employees.
Right.
They tend to be more productive,
Yeah.
more engaged.
Makes sense.
Plus, you reduce turnover, which saves businesses a ton of money.
Yeah. Yeah, no, for sure.
On recruiting and training.
Makes sense. So it's not even just about, altruism. It's about creating a sustainable business model.
Absolutely.
And it's not just about the paycheck either, right?
Right.
The certification emphasizes honorable benefits.
Yes.
Things like retirement plans.
Right.
With employer matching.
Yes.
Comprehensive health insurance.
Yeah.
And generous paid time off.
It's acknowledging that employees have lives outside of work.
Totally.
And the research backs this up.
Right.
When employees feel valued and supported, their well-being improves.
Yeah.
And that translates into better performance and customer service.
So it's like a win-win.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
Then there's this whole idea of equitable profit distribution. They actually suggest limiting executive pay to no more than 30 times the average employee's salary.
Okay.
Citing the Swedish model as an example.
Interesting.
That's a pretty bold statement.
It is.
In a world where CEO compensation just seems to keep skyrocketing.
It is a radical proposition. And I'm curious to see how it plays out in practice.
Yeah.
It raises some fundamental questions about the distribution of wealth within companies. And whether excessive executive pay is truly beneficial or even sustainable in the long term.
Yeah, that Swedish model definitely got me thinking.
Yeah.
Seeing actual numbers attached to these concepts makes it all the more real.
It does.
What aspect of all this stands out to you as particularly significant?
For me, it's the emphasis on work-life balance.
Okay.
In our always-on culture, burnout is a real epidemic.
Totally.
And this certification, it recognizes that employees are whole people.
Yeah.
They have lives outside of work.
Yeah.
And it encourages businesses to create environments that support well-being, not just productivity.
Yeah.
We're seeing a shift in priorities.
Yeah.
And this certification, it reflects that.
Totally. Okay, so we've covered what it means to be an ethical employer. But this certification, it goes a step further.
Okay.
It's not just about individual companies.
Right.
It's about creating a network effect.
A network effect. I like that.
Yeah.
So they have this concept of an ethical employment supply network.
Okay.
Where certified businesses are encouraged to partner with other ethical businesses.
So we're trying to build an ecosystem where these ethical practices become the norm.
Yes.
So it's like a chain reaction of good deeds.
I love it.
If enough businesses join this network, it could really start to reshape entire industries.
It could. And the power of consumer choice plays a huge role here.
Okay.
If enough people consciously support ethical employers, it creates a market incentive for other businesses to follow suit. Think about the impact that fair trade coffee has had on the coffee industry. Yeah. Could this be a similar tipping point?
That's a fascinating comparison.
Yeah.
It makes me wonder, I mean, could this certification actually shift industry standards? Or will it remain a niche movement for the truly committed?
Right.
What do you think?
Well, I think
it's like we as consumers hold a piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
If we prioritize ethical businesses, we can help tilt the scales in their favor.
Yeah, totally.
But let's flip the script for a second. So say you're a business owner.
All right.
What's in it for you?
Yeah.
Beyond the feel good factor.
Right.
Their website actually lays out some pretty compelling reasons why getting sci-fi'd makes good business sense.
Good business sense.
Yeah.
One of the biggest arguments they make is that ethical employment leads to higher worker morale, which translates into better customer service and a stronger brand reputation.
So it's not just about warm fuzzies. It's about tangible benefits.
Exactly.
That impact the bottom line.
The bottom line.
Yeah. But are there any potential downsides or unintended consequences?
Yeah, that's a good question.
For businesses that adopt these practices, could it make them less competitive?
You know, there could be situations where adhering to these standards might increase costs.
Okay.
Especially in the short term.
Okay.
For example, paying a living wage when competitors aren't could impact pricing.
Right.
But the long-term benefits, like reduced turnover and increased productivity, could outweigh those initial costs.
So it's a gamble.
It is a gamble.
But maybe one worth taking.
Potentially. Yeah.
Like a long-term investment?
Right.
In your workforce and your company's values.
I like.
The website also mentions that ethical businesses often see lower turnover rates.
Absolutely.
Which saves them money.
Saves them money in the long run.
Yeah, in the long run.
Recruitment and training new employees is expensive.
Yeah.
Time consuming.
For sure.
By creating a work environment where people feel valued, respected, businesses can retain their top talent and avoid those costs.
So it's like a snowball effect.
It is.
Of good things.
Yeah, and that's not all.
What else?
They claim that higher wages can actually stimulate job creation.
Interesting.
And help small businesses thrive.
So how does that work?
Well, it seems counterintuitive.
Yeah.
But the idea is that when people earn more, they spend more.
Okay.
Which boosts local economies.
Right.
Creates demand for goods and services, ultimately leading to more jobs. Yep. There's some economic research that supports this idea, particularly in the context of local economies and small businesses.
So it's like a ripple effect.
It is a ripple effect.
On a community level.
Community level, yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
The website also talks about consumer trust.
Okay.
They claim that customers are willing to pay a premium.
Interesting.
For products and services from ethical businesses.
That's an interesting point.
Yeah.
You know, we've seen this trend with things like organic food, sustainably sourced clothing. Yeah. Consumers are increasingly conscious of how their purchases impact the world, and they're willing to put their money where their values are.
Yeah.
The question is, does that extend to services as well?
So if you were a consumer, would you be willing to pay more for a service, knowing that the employees providing it are being treated fairly?
I personally, I think it's a factor worth considering.
Yeah.
You know, knowing that a business prioritizes its employees' well-being, aligns with my values, gives me a sense of confidence in their services. It's like an added layer of quality assurance.
That's a great perspective.
Thank you.
Okay, so the theory is compelling.
Right.
But does it translate?
Does it translate into reality?
Into reality, yeah. They have a whole directory on their website of businesses that have earned the ethical employer certification.
I like it.
And it's not just a bunch of tech companies or trendy startups.
Yeah.
There's everything from auto repair shops to restaurants, roofing companies,
Wow.
Even entertainment venues.
It's actually quite a diverse mix.
It is.
Which suggests that ethical employment isn't limited.
Right. To any one sector.
Yeah.
It's a principle
right.
that can be applied
right.
across the board.
They have examples from all over the country too.
Oh,
like Cobb Custom Services, an auto repair shop in Orlando.
Right.
And Anytime Computer Service in Eustis, Florida.
Interesting.
So it's not just a big city phenomenon.
It's not. No.
Looking at the directory, it seems like there's a decent amount of concentration in certain regions.
Right.
But there are also examples scattered throughout the country.
It'll be interesting to see how that distribution evolves over time.
It makes you wonder what factors are driving.
Yeah, what is driving this?
This uneven distribution.
This uneven distribution.
Are certain regions more receptive to this idea of ethical employment?
Those are great questions.
Are there specific industries? You know, it's likely a combination of factors, including regional economic conditions, industry norms, and even the level of awareness about the certification itself.
One thing that stood out to me is that they're not relying on some big auditing body to ensure compliance.
Yeah.
Instead, they lean heavily on transparency and the court of public opinion.
The court of public opinion, I like that.
Yeah. Businesses can lose their certification.
Okay.
If they're found to be violating the terms of service.
Right.
But it's ultimately up to the public to hold them accountable.
It's interesting.
It is interesting.
It's an interesting approach, relying on a combination of self-regulation and social pressure.
Yeah, it's a bit like crowdsourcing ethical oversight.
Yeah, I like that.
But it also raises questions about effectiveness.
Right.
Potential for bias.
How do you ensure consistency?
Yeah.
Fairness.
And
in a system like that.
Yeah. Could it be vulnerable to misinformation?
It's a good point.
Or unfair targeting.
Yeah.
And what happens if a business disagrees with a public assessment? Is there an appeals process?
All valid concerns.
Yeah.
It's a bit like the Wild West. Of ethical certification.
Right.
They're relying on the goodwill and the vigilance of the public to maintain the integrity of the system.
Right. And it's definitely a work in progress.
Yeah, it's a work in progress.
They mention on their website that they're working on several project goals to address some of these challenges.
That's good.
Oh yeah, their future plans.
Yeah, their future plans.
They sound pretty ambitious.
They are ambitious.
Yeah.
First up, they want to rebuild the website on WordPress. They believe this will help automate many of their processes, making things like applying for certification.
Right.
And updating the directory more efficient.
That makes sense, yeah.
Yeah.
Automation could free up their resources to focus on things like outreach and community building.
Community building.
Yeah. They're also talking about launching an ambassador program.
That's right.
So the idea is to empower supporters to promote ethical employment in their community.
In the community.
And even receive donations for their advocacy.
It's a clever way to leverage grassroots enthusiasm, spread awareness about the certification on a local level.
It's a fascinating model.
It is a fascinating model.
Imagine like a network of passionate advocates championing ethical employment all over the country.
All over the country.
And of course the ultimate goal is global expansion.
Global expansion, yeah.
They envision a world where every employer commits to fair labor practices.
That's a lofty vision.
Talk about a lofty vision.
It's certainly ambitious.
Yeah.
But I admire their boldness.
Yeah.
It speaks to their belief that ethical employment shouldn't be a niche concept.
Right.
But the norm.
Yeah.
It's about creating a global movement for change.
But realistically,
how feasible is that?
Why? What are the biggest hurdles they'll face?
One of the biggest challenges is awareness.
Awareness.
Okay, right now it seems like the certification is still relatively unknown.
Right.
Getting the word out to both businesses and consumers is going to be crucial.
And And then there's the whole issue of
replacement. Yeah.
Yeah. As we talked about earlier.
Yes.
They're relying heavily on public pressure.
Right.
To hold businesses accountable.
Hold businesses accountable.
But how do you ensure consistency and fairness?
How do you ensure consistency and fairness? Yeah.
Across the board. It's a tough nut to crack.
Especially on a global scale.
On a global scale, they might need to consider developing more robust mechanisms for monitoring compliance, resourcing violations. Maybe a system for collecting feedback from employees or conducting periodic audits. Potentially in collaboration with third-party organizations.
But those things take resources.
They do.
And right now, the project seems to be running on a pretty tight budget. They even mention that they're accepting donations to help fund their efforts.
Makes sense.
That's where the ambassador program could be valuable.
Yeah. If they can mobilize a network of dedicated supporters, that could help generate, awareness and financial resources.
Financial resources, and they also list a bunch of ways regular people can get involved.
It's kind of inspiring.
It is.
To see a movement like this gaining momentum.
Yeah.
It really feels like the ethical employer certification is tapping into something much, much bigger than just a list of guidelines.
Right.
It's about shifting our mindset. Around work. Recognizing the interconnectedness. Of business ethics and society as a whole.
What's exciting is that this model of voluntary certification could potentially be applied
to other areas?
To other areas beyond employment.
Oh, you're blowing my mind here.
Oh, am I?
What other industries or issues could benefit?
Well, take the fashion industry, for example. We've seen some progress with ethical sourcing, fair labor practices.
Right.
But there's still a long way to go.
Yeah, no, for sure.
A voluntary certification program could provide consumers with a clear and trustworthy way to identify brands that are truly committed to sustainability and ethical production.
That's a brilliant idea.
Oh, thank you.
Consumers are already demanding
more
transparency from the fashion industry.
Absolutely.
Certification like this could really help cut through the greenwashing.
The greenwash, empower people to make informed choices.
Exactly. And it's not just limited to fashion.
What else?
Think about the tech industry. All the concerns around data privacy, responsible AI development.
Right.
A certification program could help distinguish companies that are prioritizing ethical considerations from those that are just, paying lip service.
Wow, you're really making me think about the possibilities here.
Good.
Could we see ethical data certifications?
Potentially.
Ethical AI certifications?
Right.
It feels like we're on the cusp of
I think we are.
A whole new era.
A whole new era.
Of conscious consumerism.
It's definitely an exciting prospect.
It is.
It's about empowering consumers to make informed choices, rewarding businesses that are aligned with their values. And it's about creating a system where ethical behavior becomes not just a moral imperative, but also a competitive advantage.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the ethical employer certification.
The ethical employer certification.
I'm left with a sense of both hope and curiosity.
Oh, I like that.
Hope, because it shows that there are people out there actively working to create a more ethical and equitable world. A more equitable world.
And curiosity, because it makes me wonder.
Yeah.
What role can I play in this movement?
That's the perfect question to ask yourself. The ethical employer certification is a call to action for all of us.
Yeah.
It's an invitation to examine our own values. Make conscious choices as consumers.
Right.
And support businesses that are striving to do the right thing.
Yeah, and for those who are feeling particularly inspired.
Yeah.
It's an opportunity to get involved.
Get involved.
Help shape the future.
Shape the future
of ethical employment.
what you said, it really resonates. It's not about being perfect or having all the answers. It's about taking small steps in the right direction. Yeah. Recognizing that we all have a role to play.
Right.
In creating a more just and equitable world.
Beautifully said.
Well, thank you.
It's a journey we're all on together.
We are.
And every step counts.
Every step counts.
If any of this has piqued your interest, I highly encourage you to visit the Ethical Employer website.
The Ethical Employer website.
Check out their directory of certified businesses. Learn more about their mission.
Yeah.
Consider how you can participate in this growing movement.
It's a growing movement.
Who knows? Yeah. Maybe you'll even discover some ethical businesses in your own community that you can support.
And as you go about your day, keep this thought in mind. Yeah. Could this model of voluntary certification be the key to unlocking a more ethical and sustainable future? Not just in the workplace, but in all aspects of our lives.
That's a good question.
It is a question worth pondering.
Food for thought, for sure.
Yes.
Until next time, fellow deep divers.
Deep dive.
Keep exploring, keep questioning.
Keep questioning.
And keep striving to make the world a better place.
I like that.